Simon, you know some bike manufacturers, they kind of come with a bit of a reputation. So they make you promises that, so-and-so will bring you reliability. But then again, it might be a little bit sort of humdrum.
Oh, I know what you mean, yeah. Or it could be comfort and efficiency, but actually the bikes are a little bit ordinary.
No, yeah. But then there's always that one manufacturer who can do really, really fast motorbikes. Oh! Welcome to the Supercharged Showdown. So I'm back at Elvington once more, 1.8 miles of runway. The sun is shining, woo! But Supercharged Showdown, so there's a plethora, some might say, of Kawasaki supercharged machinery here.
Do you know what I think? I think this could possibly be the UK's, maybe even the world's biggest gathering of supercharged Kawasaki's. I think we've got over 50 people here, owners of the H2s and the H2SXs and the ZH2s. So yeah, I've never seen so many supercharged bikes in one place at one time.
So the supercharged Kawasaki's came out in 2015, didn't they? So we're 10 years on now, and that's kind of the aim of the game today, to celebrate that by allowing BikeSocial customers, Kawasaki members, a chance to do more than 70 miles an hour. Come
to this runway and basically it's your runway. Ride your bike flat out, let it off the leash and see what it can do. Where else can you do that but here?
It's crackers, isn't it? And some of those bikes have been tuned, haven't they? I mean, they're clearly louder than they should be, and therefore they wouldn't be allowed on track.
Exactly, yeah. We've got all sorts here. We've got some standard bikes, we've got some modified bikes. It's really, really interesting. And we've got more than that. We've got a stunt show from Jonny Davies.
Yeah.
British Superbike race teams here.
We're grateful for them for standing where we are now. It's a good view from up here. So yeah, you're right. Max Cook, Christian Iddon, they've had a go. And there's even the H2R here. Which is a trick bit of kit. So that's not road legal, is it?
It's not. No, you can't really ride that anyway. You can't even ride it on track day because it's too loud.
Yeah.
I've actually ridden one of those a few years ago.
Yeah?
Did over 200 miles an hour.
Where?
Yeah, it's a crazy thing.
On a runway?
At a runway,
Whoa.
yeah.
200.
So it's going to be interesting to see if that can hit 200 today.
I've never joined the 200 club. Maybe I can do it today. I might see if I can have a go. All right, so let's go and find out a bit more what's going on. But I've got to say this. Are you ready to be blown away?
Oh mate.
No.
Do you think that induction was a bit forced?
Oh.
Maybe it could do with a bit of a boost.
Oh, stop now.
Sorry. So how did that feel? Tell me, your first time out there.
It's exhilarating. First time I've done it, and shaking like a leaf if I'm being honest.
How did that feel? How fast did you go?
174 point something or other.
So it's slow because it stopped at 170.
Yeah, it should have gone more than that. Probably going to be about the slowest run.
You're going to get the wooden spoon. How does it feel out there?
Mildly terrifying, but fantastic.
What an event. I came all the way from London, literally rode 4 hours and a half this morning, and now I'm not tired anymore. It's like, yes.
How does it feel out there?
It's great. I'm getting 3/4 of the way down and I've already topped it out.
That was insane. Yeah. I've had this bike for 3 years, and it's like, this is obviously what it's built for, to go as fast as possible. But you can't do that on the road, because you're always wary. There's always a time and a place. This is the time and the place. And the further I went, the more power. It just never stopped, kept going all the way. And we've so much room here. It was just, I can't believe, just the sense of speed is unbelievable. It's like unlike anything I've ever experienced.
How fast did you go on your first run?
With this one, I went to 160. So I'm excited because after a couple of runs with this one, I will jump on my own H2. So I'm excited. But 160 already is like, what? In the UK? Legally, I'm not going to lose my license. That's perfect. That's the dream.
De-restricted and decatted. Have you had it on a dyno?
Yes,
And what's it making?
224 at the wheel.
The reason I'm asking is because you don't know this yet, but you've set the fastest top speed of the day so far.
Oh, I didn't know I had done that. Fantastic. I didn't know that.
Do you want to know how fast it was?
Go on.
187 miles an hour
Okay.
in a mile.
Okay, that's fantastic.
Are you looking forward to your next run?
Yes, definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not going to go any faster than that, are you?
I don't think so.
I'm Ange and I run the biggest Ninja H2 club in the UK. H2Rs, Ninja H2s, H2SXs and ZH2s. And we do arrange H2 meets once a year, every year, and we can get about 40 to 50 H2s in one place.
Have you ever done a day like this before where they can come out and run up and down the runway?
We always wanted to arrange one, but when we've seen the Supercharged Showdown, we had to.
Cheers, Ange.
Cheers, guys. Thank you for this. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
How far have you come on this bike?
Just over 400 kilometres. I left Kildare in Ireland yesterday at about 12:30, dashed to the ferry in Dublin, got off at Holyhead and shot straight to here to a little place just outside York. Turn up this morning, and now as soon as we finish this evening I have to ride another 400 something odd kilometres back.
Okay. I suspect that you're doing it quicker than most people because you've just set the fastest time here today. How fast have you gone?
Well, run 1 I went 171 miles an hour, but run 2 I ran 194.5 miles an hour.
Wow, that is quite a lot faster than anybody else. What have you done to the bike?
There is a Sprint race air filter in it, and it is stage 1 tuned by a company called Motor Tuning in Dublin, who are excellent. They've done a number of my bikes. They're fantastic.
What does stage 1 tuning involve?
Custom ECU flash, per cylinder mapping, and then Gary works on the throttle mapping as well.
Right, so there's no hardware as such. It's kind of mostly just mapping and fueling.
Mapping and a filter, and that's it.
What does it do on the dyno?
248 to the rear.
Wow. Christian, you're riding for AJN Steel Stock in Bennett's British Superbike on Ninja ZX10RRs. Mm-hmm. Is this the first time you've ridden a supercharged bike?
Yeah, it definitely is. First time I've been in anything with a supercharged engine or on anything with a supercharged engine in it. So yeah, that was definitely a fun experience.
The obvious question is on the H2R. How does it feel compared to your British Superbike?
Yeah, it's different because our bikes set off incredibly fast, but that's because they're geared to do so. You know, like my race bike won't do anywhere near the top speed that the H2R will do. But yeah, what was impressive about the H2R then is just how it kept making power. You know, like I clicked 5th and I actually wasn't sure what gear I was in. I looked down on 5th and the thing still wants to wheelie. It's quite an eye-opener. And the fact it keeps making power, I guess that's the nature of the supercharger. Normally the power tails off and on that it just seemed to sort of kept adding and kept adding.
I was going to say, have you ever data logged your bike to find out what the top speed is on British circuits?
We don't actually. I mean, we don't even have speedos on the dash, so we would never really know. But the truth be told, we have one. They would always run out of puff in terms of gearing because we have to gear them for the shorter corners, and we don't really have the straights long enough to get anywhere near. Probably about 180 is about the fastest we ever get on a UK circuit.
So you've just done just over 200 miles an hour. So is that the fastest you've ever been, do you reckon?
I'd say it probably is. Yeah, I don't know any time that I've ever been any quicker. And I would have liked to go more because I think it ran into the limiter. So I think that's all they're allowed to do or whatever. So I think it was capable of doing way more. I had the thing pinned, and if I would have liked to have seen just what it would have done.
It's like you say, that mid-range in the bike is the most impressive thing, the way it just goes from nothing. Would you like that kind of engine in your British Superbike?
I mean, I'm sure there's times when I'd like to pass people that I'd like it in, but I'm not sure I'd like it in all the time, no.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much, Christian. I hope you enjoyed your day.
Cheers, thank you very much.
Guinness World Record holder. That's a title, isn't it?
It is a title.
Stunt rider extraordinaire, Jonny Davies. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much.
With your H2 SX. So you hold the Guinness World Record for skiing behind a bike at, let me get this right, 159.52 miles an hour.
Yeah, 0.488 off 160.
Not that that's bothering you.
No, it didn't bother us.
I can't believe you didn't go back for a second go.
Well, I set my goal on I would have been happy with the original record Gary set in 1999 was 156.2, I think. I'd have been happy with 157 on the lead up.
Yeah.
Once you do it, you think, oh, I could easily go a bit faster. So.
And you set that here at Elvington?
Yes, that's right, yes.
All right, so the thing I'm burning to ask you is, how do you discover that you've got a talent for jumping off the back of a bike and skidding along on some steel-plated shoes?
I didn't discover it until I'd tried it on this. So I'd never actually practiced the stunt before.
Right.
So bearing in mind, to practice it, you need a set of titanium skis, which, as you know, titanium's a lot of money, and the fabrication is a lot of money. You also need a bike that's stable enough to do it. And I didn't have any of them. So what I did this time round, this Guinness World Record project, is I got these companies involved, titanium supplier and Kawasaki come on board and said they'll supply a bike.
Yeah.
And I'd never even tried the stunt until June last year, and bearing in mind the attempt was in August.
So the first time you did it, did you have some? You can tell me. Did you have someone riding the bike?
Yes.
And you pulled away from standstill?
Yeah, yes, from my dad. It was, to be fair, it was quite a funny Saturday afternoon. So we had my dad on the ride on the bike, and me on the back, just to see how it felt before I come here.
Yeah.
My sister was driving a car on this closed road, and then my mum was hanging out the window filming just to get some footage to promote it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I remember saying to the family, I was like, how many other families are doing this on a Saturday afternoon? Not many, but yeah, that's how I basically broke it down.
Once you're in position, it feels like it should be fairly okay, provided the bike's doing what it needs to do. It's the transfer that's the bit that makes me go...
I was more worried on obviously when you visualise these things, I was more worried about the jumping back on, because it seemed pretty scary.
Yeah.
Until I got the bike and realised ergonomically how it's set out is pegs there, grab rail there, and I was like, how am I going to jump off? I couldn't actually work out how to, so a bit of technique involved, but basically hand through the legs, and eventually that felt a bit more natural, but that was more scary jumping off the bike.
Let me just check. Part of the record means you have to get back on it.
Yes.
You can't just bail out.
So you have to, the terms in the record are, no one can be riding the bike, you have to climb off the bike by yourself and finish the bike back on the seat.
You see, I was watching a video the other day of Arto Nyqvist, you know, the Finnish rider doing it back in the day on a Z1300.
He set it off.
He started it, but he had a flat seat.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't have to jump off the back of one of these things.
I've seen that video, and he used to use wooden clogs, I believe, and that was the very start of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's where it all began. So if we get into the bike itself, but before we talk about the modifications you've made, because there are a couple, aren't there, just what is it about the H2 SX that makes it good for what you want to do?
Obviously the supercharger, the engine, it's a very powerful engine. And when I met with Kawasaki UK, Ross even offered us a H2R really. They have even more power, but you can only use so much power whilst hanging off the back of a bike, as you probably imagine.
Yeah.
So we went for stability. I thought this would be a better bike to get on and off. As you know, the H2s and H2Rs don't really have much of a subframe. They're shorter, they're made more for cornering and agility. Where this thing is just, the stability is insane. And as soon as I rode it and looked down the speedo doing 160 or something on a runway, and it didn't feel like much more than 100, I knew that was the bike. I did a 180 mile an hour and then let go of the bars just to check its stability, and it just was
rock solid.
Absolutely rock solid.
Yeah.
So then I knew I was fully confident jumping off the bike. So
yeah. So what are the modifications have we actually got then? I see there's a throttle at the back there.
Actually, Kawasaki UK did this throttle modification for me before I collected it. So as you can see, it's got a secondary throttle that I operate with my thumb when off the back. Basically, it uses a cable to pull that handlebar throttle.
I see.
And then a kill switch, a holy cow switch. So if it goes pear-shaped, I can do that and it kills the engine. As you can see, there's no brake other than the good old Flintstones brakes that dig your heels in a bit more. But ideally, I would have wanted a brake so I could throttle a bit further. At the high revs at 160 in fifth, it's nearly at the limiter. The engine brake alone is quite rampant anyway,
it's
so
pretty tough,
we didn't go down the brake route. And this bar, this bar is fabbed up, the original handrails trimmed down, and that is a good sturdy bar.
Good sturdy bar to grab hold of,
grab hold of and leapfrog back on with.
Excellent.
But other than that, it is stock, except a steering damper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have all faith that the bike would have been fine anyway, but it's not tested at 160 mile an hour with no rider on and dragging someone, isn't it? So I'd rather just said, listen, let's just fit it in.
I don't think it's the only H2 here today that's got a steering damper. I think a lot of them have got it. I think
Have
it's,
they? Oh,
yeah.
fair
So
play.
don't worry.
I don't think they even come standard
No.
with them because they're that stable already.
And tell me a little bit, just quickly, about the kit, because you've got the shoes that you use as well. So they're titanium shoes. You want to grab them?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. You can see there's a little bit of action being going on there.
Yeah, I can.
These are actually version 1. I've got 2 versions. These are the originals, but I expected to go through them a lot quicker than I have.
Titanium's pretty tough stuff, isn't it?
I think it's different grades, but I think this grade is really tough.
Toughest.
They started off with a cornflakes box in my kitchen, putting them up around my boots, and I give it a fabricator to fabricate.
Good stuff. Well, have you got any plans to break your own record?
Not at the minute. I would need someone to probably collaborate to push it to the limit, because really I've got no risk v reward. There's nothing worth doing it for at the minute. But I'm sure if a big company want to come on board and...
Or if somebody breaks it.
Or if somebody broke it, yeah. But I think I would have to... I think I've maxed out this runway because of the tarmac area. I can only do it on the tarmac, the dark tarmac. I would have to use another runway with longer tarmac.
Sounds to me like you're angling for a trip to America or something like that.
There's also one in Scotland as well, but it's quite a drive. But listen, there's always... I've obviously thought about... I think I could do 170 on this bike. But yeah, I would need a big sponsor for that to talk my girlfriend into letting me do that again.
I like your honesty. Nice one. Anyway, Jonny, thank you very much,
Thank you
mate.
very
It's
much.
really a pleasure to
Thank
watch
you.
you doing that today.
Great
Cheers,
stuff.
man.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ross Burridge, Kawasaki UK Head of Marketing. Welcome back to Bennett's BikeSocial.
Thank you very much.
Here we are at Elvington. We've had a fantastic day so far. It's been amazing watching all these H2s blasting up and down the runway. So back in 2015, I mean, has it been 10 years already?
Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? Since we first saw the H2. Now, at the time, I remember thinking, you already build the world's fastest production bike with the ZZR 1400. And then you go and build another world's fastest production bike with the H2. It's just sort of like, how greedy can you be? Why did Kawasaki make the H2?
Yeah, I mean, one's not enough, is it? You always need two. The short answer to that is because we can.
Oh, okay.
And the kind of long explanation to that, or longer explanation, is basically KHI have a number of different divisions. One of them, obviously, is motorcycling. Another one is gas turbine. And that division built the supercharger for the H2 and the H2R.
Okay.
So one of the most important things for Kawasaki in Japan were to show that they were the only manufacturer able to make that bike in its entirety in-house.
Right.
So any other manufacturer would have had to source a supercharger from somewhere else, but because of our collective strength of Kawasaki Heavy Industries, we used that gas turbine division to build the supercharger, initiate it into the design at an early stage, and therefore build the world's fastest motorcycle that was built completely in-house.
And of course it was, I think, the world's first production supercharged bike as well.
It was, yeah, world's first forced induction.
Because if we go back to like 1982, Kawasaki obviously built the GPZ 750 Turbo, which was also forced induction. So there was a long gap between the two. Kawasaki have got this long, rich history of building really fast motorcycles. It's kind of almost what they're known for. You can go right back to the original H2, you know, the 750cc inline triple two-stroke. Speaking of which, what does H2 mean?
Yeah, so the H2 and the H2R are actually a homage to those 70s original H machines. Okay. At that time, the Kawasaki models were generally either an S or an H, and the S stood for street and the H stood for highway. So
I never knew
how
that.
they were differentiated.
So it went from the H2, the original H2, and you can reel them off, can't you? You can go through the Z1 a couple of years later, and then you can get into, I don't know, the GPZ 900R, you can get into ZZR 1100s, always moving the game on, but always being at the top of the pile. Kawasaki have always built bikes that are top speed champions. Is that important to Kawasaki?
Yeah, I mean, it absolutely is. You know, as age has progressed, you know, that you kind of slightly diverse your way into different areas of the market and make sure you've got a really, really strong motorcycle in all different areas. But yeah, that kind of high speed, high performance has always been integral within the Kawasaki brand. Our original slogan was hardcore, unconventional and challenging.
That's a bit of a mouthful for a slogan, but yeah, hardcore, unconventional and challenging.
Yeah, and I think that really sort of defines where the H2R is. So yeah, I think whether you look at off-track and machines like the H2R or on-track and our rich history in racing, you know, all the way up to today, speed, power, performance and engineering is right up there in our ethos.
Let's just break down, for anyone who doesn't know, but I'm sure everybody does, the H2 series, because so in 2015 we had the H2R and the H2.
Yeah.
H2R being the track only, the non-production road bike.
So we started in 2015, which is obviously why we're here today, is celebrating 10 years of that supercharged machine. I can't believe it is 10 years ago. Looking back to when we launched the H2R at Qatar MotoGP track, that was actually 11 years ago at the end of 2014.
Yeah.
But H2R and H2 came together, the H2 being the road-going version for people to buy and use on the street, and the H2R was very much track only, over 300 horsepower, absolute machine weapon.
And it was like super limited edition. Could you only buy it for 1 month of the year or something?
When it first came out, you could buy it at any point. Obviously,
Right.
There was always going to be limited sales. It was the Halo model. It was, you know,
It's quite expensive, wasn't it? It was like, how much was it? 41 something?
Started off at 40, yeah, and it's sort of damn inflation has worked its way up to 50 now. With sales now obviously fairly limited. We have an order window now where for 6 weeks of the year you can place your order and it's kind of bespoke made for you in the factory. The one that's on the production line is your bike. So
right. So
yeah,
it's
really quite special.
Hand built just for you at Kawasaki.
Yep.
That's not bad, yeah. So so we had those two and they were quite kind of, well, the H2 was kind of a hardcore sports bike. I remember riding one and thinking it's pretty unforgiving. So what came next? The H2 SX was next.
H2 SX, yeah, in 2018, which was making more of a comfortable, like you say, road-going version.
Which is it's mad when you think about it. Like, here's a supercharged engine. Let's give it heated grips and panniers. It's not the most obvious thing to do. But it was actually, I had one for a year, and it was a really effective in inverted commas, road bike, because the way that it accelerated, I tried to explain to people that it wasn't so much the top end, it was the short shifting through the mid-range was just phenomenal. It would absolutely destroy time and distance. It was incredible. It was like, you know, you literally noticed it. Every journey was shorter. But presumably that was kind of like the most popular bike or the bigger selling model.
Yeah, absolutely. That started in a lot more volume than the H2 because, like you say, appealing to a wider customer base.
Yeah.
You know, you could go touring to the south of France on it, no problem, or it's sporty enough you can take it to a track day and do a track day on it. So it was.
I tried doing both, and I'll tell you what, it was better at touring than it was on a track day. I've got to say. But then the other bonkers thing was, okay, we've got the supercharged engine. Yeah, let's not bother with the heated grips and the panniers. Let's just take the fairing off.
Yeah.
And we get the ZH2.
The ZH2, and that arrived in 2020, and we launched that at the Las Vegas Speedway. And yeah, it's just completed for us a real nice range of machines, brought the total stable to 4 and offered an even wider customer base again the opportunity to own a supercharged machine for the application that they chose to use it in.
I remember when Kawasaki first sort of teased the H2 and there was a lot of speculation about what the engine was, because one of the principles of supercharging is that you can take a smaller engine and make it perform like a bigger engine, or you can take a bigger engine and make it more efficient. And of course, Kawasaki, in fact, took a fairly large engine and just made it go really fast. I mean, it's a significant investment, I imagine, for the factory to build this range of bikes. There must be more spin-offs. I mean, I'm sure you're not going to tell us, but is there anything on the horizon that's also supercharged? Is there smaller capacity bikes or I don't know, you tell me. Is there more life in the supercharged story yet?
I think there is more life in the supercharged story. Of course, as you say, we can't go into talking about future models, but what we can say is that we have, after recently acquiring the Bimota brand, we now 100% ownership of Bimota, and we've just started distributing it via Kawasaki UK in the UK and announced a set of dealers for the UK actually just this week. And next month we've got the Bimota Tezzy H2 Terra, which is an adventure style bike. It rolls off the tongue.
It does, yeah. It's an
yeah.
adventure-style bike with hub centre steering.
It's an adventure-style bike, hub centre steering, and the H2SX supercharged 200 horsepower engine sat within it as well. So, again, that's a way that we are branching out a little bit more with Supercharger. Same engine, but different application again in a more of an adventure-style bike. So, adds to the stable. So, in terms of what else might come in the future, remains to be seen. But we're excited to explore another one in the Bimota brand, anyway.
And I'm kind of guessing, but I mean, because of the technology, the investment in technology, teams of engineers working on new technology for powered two-wheelers. We all know the future is maybe electric, maybe hybrid, maybe hydrogen, who knows. It seems like Kawasaki's kind of got a finger in all those pies. Do you think that there's any sort of spin-off technology from the supercharging experience that will help Kawasaki in the future?
I think being a team of engineers in Japan that have created this range of bikes with the supercharger technology and the things we've already discussed about only being able to do certain things within house gives them a bit of a platform to work on future technology in other areas. We've got the hydrogen, bike in development that we've obviously seen now,
which has a very H2 sort of look to it in some ways, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the engine that's in it and powered by hydrogen. So, and obviously we've got the EVs and the hybrid machines as well. So, yeah, I do think that original supercharged technology offers a platform for these engineers to expand on development of different, possibly alternative fuels for the future.
Excellent. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? Kawasaki, it's got to be green some way or another. Excellent. Ross, thank you very much for your time, mate. It's been really good. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Okay, here we are, 1.8 miles of runway that way. This is Elvington Airfiled. I'm on the Kawasaki H2SX. We've got 3 cameras, including the one that you can see through in the helmet. All right, let's see. You won't be able to hear me at about 50 miles an hour. Let's go. Well, it's a good job it's not a racing start. And there we go, we're coming back down to a more sensible speed. In all honesty, I didn't really take much notice of what the speedo was indicating, but we'll get back to the paddock area and take a look at the data to what we went through the speed trap. Well, Mr. Hargreaves, what a beautiful day, or a beautiful end to a beautiful day. Look at us, we're squinting into the sunshine now, and I'm fearful that I'm going to regret not to put Factor 50 on as well.
I can see you burning already.
Yeah, terrible.
It's been fantastic. What a brilliant, brilliant day.
So we had quite a lot of people down here, which was lovely. I mean, we've done this type of event a couple of times already, and this one got more sign-ups. And I think the timing sheet suggests that there were 62 BikeSocial members and Club Kawasaki members who were out on this very runway.
I think it goes to show that the Kawasaki H2 community are gagging to get out and let their bikes run a bit, and this is kind of the only place where you can do it.
I mean, it's been like it's almost like a Batman signal, isn't it? It's like they're calling, and they've been waiting for this moment for years and years and years.
You could say it's the Kawasaki H2 river symbol.
That's what it is, up in the sky, and they've flocked to it.
It's been fantastic. So, the fastest speed we've had today.
Yes, go on.
Christian Iddon, BSB rider,
you can
on the H2R, did 200
Did he?
0.019 miles per hour.
200. So he broke that
So
double
he
century.
broke the 200 miles an hour barrier.
Brilliant.
Which is pretty impressive.
Well, yeah, and they were talking, some of the guys who come here regularly, especially the organisers, Straight Lines, were talking about how there's been a bit of a head and crosswind. So it's restricted times a little bit, speeds a little bit. But
I've heard a few people saying, yeah, the crosswind was a little bit, because you suddenly run into it halfway up the runway and it kind of knocks you off a bit, but certainly at that speed.
It's interesting. I was talking to a guy called Woody who does this sort of thing often. He's got a different brand of motorbike that is supercharged,
slower,
or turbocharged.
Oh,
no,
right,
it's
okay.
got 900 and something horsepower.
Oh, well,
but it was interesting because he was telling me how to kind of get into a position and
the
not
tuck.
necessarily a full tuck, but adjust for the wind. But
it's not as easy as you think, is it? Doing a top speed run.
literally isn't. You expect to just go right. Bah, 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 bah. No.
No, it's a bit
Not
harder,
like
as evidenced by the variation in some of these times. I mean, the fastest non-H2R was Alan McCaffrey on a Kawasaki H2, did 194.7. I think Alan was the guy who'd come all the way from Ireland.
Yes,
So-
lovely fella. I spoke to him, he came up to us after his first run this morning, and he was just so excited. He was shaking, visibly shaking with it, and his beaming smile from ear to ear. It was lovely to see.
It was great to
But
see.
he had a lot. He had like 4 or 5, at least 5 or 6 runs, I think, during the course of the day.
He filled his boots, I think you could say. Yeah.
Got most of it.
I'm not sure who came. Let me see. Was it like about 15th, I think? Or was it 14th? Mr. Michael Mann?
Yay! Was that me?
That was you.
So I had an H2 SX run, but the quick shifter wasn't working. Not that is... Why do I go? I default into make excuses mode. And I had 3 cameras on the bike, and I'm carrying a little bit of festive weight.
Have you ridden the H2, the SX before?
Yeah, a few years ago now, but with panniers and doing some proper things that H2 SXs are designed to do, not absolutely flat out.
Yeah.
But it was...
So that's the first time you kind of run one out in anger.
Yeah, a real weird sensation, because you expect that sort of that beautiful chirrup from a supercharged engine. But there's not a great deal of noise.
Yeah.
So fine, you've got your earplugs in and you get a bit of wind blast, but it's like you're sort of like you're floating along.
It is pretty eerily quiet in the bubble, isn't it?
Yeah. And here especially, because there's nothing close to the runway, so your peripheral vision is okay, you're focused down in that little tunnel, but there's nothing here. So when the guys at the Northwest are doing 209 miles an hour on the road with some houses here, you think, oh my, that is...
How does that feel?
Scary.
So what was your highlight of the day? Would it be that speed run?
Yeah, that was really, really interesting. I think my highlight of the day is seeing Christian Iddon on the H2R, or seeing an H2R run in proper
And
anger.
hearing it.
True.
Yeah.
Because, it's 10, that bike, the bike that he rode today is 10 years old. It's the one that they had at the NEC on the dyno. It's the one that James Hillier rode at the TT. So it's had a good life.
It has. I don't want to say anything, but I think I did more than 200 miles an hour
rode
on the
that
self-same bike.
Yes.
A long time ago. Yeah. It's been around the block, that thing.
So it was mega to see that, and I'm really glad that you went through the 200 barrier too.
Yeah.
So that was good to see. How about you?
I think my highlight of the day was watching Jonny Davies skating behind his H2 SX, which was really, really bizarre to watch. And then just watching his stunt show in general on his ZX6Rs. I love watching that level of control and the audacity of the way the bike is controlled is always just like jaw-dropping to see that kind of performance. So that was good fun.
Incredible.
And do you know what? My highlight of the day, I know this sounds really cheesy, I apologise, but it's watching so many people walk around being happy and smiling and having a great time on motorbikes. There was no, it's beautiful weather. There was not the slightest hint of misery, apart from the poor chap who turned up. He was the first one here, and I think he blew an oil seal or something. So, yeah, I know. But again, there wasn't too much of that either. So I felt really sorry for him. So that was kind of the low light. But in general, it's been a fantastic day. Really well supported. Beautiful weather.
Yeah. Brilliant. Well, look, we might well do it again. So if you've got any ideas on which other manufacturers we should do it with, or whether we should do it again with Kawasaki, just let us know. If you aren't a BikeSocial member yet, then why not? Because there's over 200, Simon, discounts and offers and deals to be had as a member. You get membership free if you're a Bennett's customer, a direct Bennett's customer, but you can still become a member if you're willing to part with £6 a month.
And you can come along to days like this. Take advantage of it.
Yeah, it's really, really good, but then a little biased. Come and join us at our Facebook group. It's Bennett's Bike Social. There's our Bike Club, which is our version of Facebook. That's literally Bennett's Bike Club. Type it into Google. And don't forget to get your podcasts at Bennett's as well. We've got our own podcast, Talking Heads, and you've got this wonderful front end chatter as well. Cool. See you next time. Humdrum.
Okay, here we go then.
If I'm looking down a camera, which one am I looking down? Because I'll start on a camera and then it's more of a conversation, isn't it?
That engine is under some stress. Yes!
Poor clap.
So, humdrum, yeah?
Humdrum. Roll out. Am I started?
Yeah.
All right.